It started with a missing girl, a 10-year-old child, vanishing into thin air on her way home from school. No witnesses, no leads, just an empty street and a family left in agony. But as investigators peeled back the layers, they uncovered a case so disturbing, so deeply hidden, that it would change the way people viewed their own neighbors forever. This is the story of a small town's deepest, darkest secret, one that remained buried for decades. And when the truth finally came to light, it was more horrifying than anyone could have imagined. Before we dive deeper, if you're intrigued by shocking true crime stories, make sure to like this video and subscribe. You won't believe what happens next. The year was 1993. The town of Fairwood, a quiet, peaceful community, was the kind of place where doors were left unlocked and kids rode their bikes until sundown. But everything changed when little Emily Carter disappeared. Her parents, frantic with worry, called the police when she didn't come home from school. The search began immediately. Officers, neighbors, volunteers combing every inch of the town. But there was no trace of Emily. It was as if she had vanished into thin air. Authorities questioned everyone: her teachers, her classmates, her friends. No one had seen anything unusual. There were no signs of a struggle, no security cameras in the neighborhood. The town grew more fearful by the day. For weeks, investigators searched tirelessly. Dogs sniffed through the nearby woods. Divers scoured local lakes. But there was nothing. The case went cold, and Emily Carter became just another missing child lost to time. But what if I told you this was only the beginning? Stick around, because what happens next will send chills down your spine. Years passed. Emily's family never stopped searching, never stopped hoping. But then, in 2019, 26 years after she disappeared, a shocking discovery would blow the case wide open. A construction crew demolishing an old house stumbled upon a hidden basement, one that had never been on the original blueprints. What they found inside sent shockwaves through the town. Inside that basement were shelves lined with old VHS tapes, diaries, and clothing. Children's clothing. Some pieces of fabric matched what Emily had been wearing the day she vanished. Tests confirmed the DNA of not just Emily, but multiple other missing children. And suddenly, the peaceful town of Fairwood had a horrifying reality to face. They had been living alongside a monster. If you're still watching, comment "unbelievable" below. What do you think about this case so far? The house had once belonged to a man named Charles Whitmore, a quiet, unassuming handyman. He had passed away years ago, his home left to decay. But what the town never knew was that Charles had harbored a terrifying secret. Charles was responsible for a string of child disappearances spanning 3 decades. A meticulous planner, he had gone unnoticed for years, hiding his crimes in plain sight. But with his death, his horrifying legacy was finally coming to light. Investigators scoured the tapes and diaries found in the basement. What they uncovered painted a picture of a deeply disturbed mind. Detailed entries about each victim. Ritualistic patterns. It was unlike anything they had seen before. With new evidence in hand, authorities reopened several cold cases. The search for justice had begun. Fairwood was shaken to its core. How could someone so monstrous go unnoticed for so long? Neighbors spoke of strange encounters, odd behavior, that in hindsight seemed like warning signs. But at the time, no one suspected a thing. The town that once felt safe now held a dark stain, one that would never be forgotten. Although Charles Whitmore was no longer alive to face punishment, his crimes weren't forgotten. Authorities worked tirelessly to bring closure to the families of his victims, identifying remains and returning them home. But for many, the pain would never truly heal. Justice had come too late. This case is a chilling reminder that evil can hide in plain sight. If you suspect something, speak up. You could save a life. If you think justice was served too late, hit the like button. It helps bring awareness to cases like this. But what if the story didn't end there? What if someone else knew about Charles? Someone who had helped him? As investigators dug deeper, they found inconsistencies in the town's records. Witness statements that had been altered, names that had been removed. One name in particular stood out: Henry Lawson. Lawson had been the police chief at the time of Emily's disappearance. A respected figure in the town, he had been the one leading the search efforts. But now, decades later, Evidence suggested that Lawson had tampered with reports. Key pieces of evidence had gone missing. Calls from worried parents had been ignored. Was he covering up for Charles, or was he more involved than anyone dared to imagine? The deeper authorities looked, the more unsettling the connections became. Lawson and Charles had been childhood friends. They had served in the same military unit. And then there was the bank account, a secret offshore account with suspicious deposits dating back decades. If Lawson had been involved, how many others knew? How many people had turned a blind eye to keep the town's dark secret hidden? Journalists descended upon Fairwood, determined to expose the truth. Whistleblowers came forward, revealing that Lawson had suppressed evidence in multiple cases. Retired officers admitted that they had been ordered to ignore leads, to steer families in the wrong direction. It was a conspiracy spanning decades, and at the center of it all was Charles Whitmore's House of Horrors. In 2020, Henry Lawson was arrested, but the damage had already been done. Families would never get their loved ones back. The town of Fairwood, once known for its quiet charm, was now infamous for one of the most chilling cover-ups in history. Even today, people still ask, how many more secrets are buried beneath Fairwood's soil? How many more missing children's names were erased from history? Perhaps some mysteries will never be solved. Perhaps some evil lingers, waiting to be uncovered once again. If you found this case shocking, share this video with someone who needs to hear this story. And don't forget to subscribe. There are more chilling cases coming soon.